a different type of video sharing with you some of my best tips for foundation. I have gotten a lot of comments recently that my skin looks really good, that my makeup looks great, and so I kind of wanted to share with you guys some things that I've been changing and some new products that I've incorporated into my routine to really give me a nice, flawless looking complexion and a very natural complexion. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's key when you apply your foundation. There's certain steps that you should take in order for the makeup to look really good, because you don't want to look like you're wearing makeup. You want it to look like, man, my skin looks this good with little to no product if possible. The least amount of product is always going to be better for the skin, but if you have to add extra steps, like for me, I don't have to go in with concealer around my face. I feel like what I get coverage wise from my foundation is enough, but if you do have some extra spots or anything like that, I do kind of give you a tip in the video or the demo part of this. So I have discovered quite a few things recently, and I've sort of changed my method a little bit in how I apply my foundation, and I feel like it's made a difference. I mean, you guys have noticed and commented on it, so I wanted to share with you some tips to get a very flawless and natural looking foundation without it looking cakey, without it feeling heavy, because I can look at my skin really up close and I don't see a lot of makeup. I mean, I am wearing a lot of makeup, of course, because I filmed a tutorial, but it doesn't look like I'm wearing like 10,000 pounds of makeup, and that's so important. So I hope that you guys like this. I will be doing some for my simple eye makeup that just everything looks very polished and very put together without being super glam and being over the top, because not everybody wants to do a look like this every day, and I get it. I also want to do one for brows because I've also incorporated some new products, and I feel like I've really kind of nailed it with my brows lately, and I'm really excited that they look good, so I want to share that with you and some beauty tips along the way throughout these videos. So let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing that. I can also do blush and highlight in my contour stuff so that you can get some tips as well as to how it works for me. So let's just go ahead and get into how I apply my foundation. Before I do anything, I like to start with a primer. I highly suggest that you find a primer that works for your skin type, whether you're oily, combo, normal, dry. Find one that works, because if you do find one that works, it will make the biggest difference in the world as far as how your overall foundation looks and how it goes on. So I have a few that I'm going to talk to you about. The first one is the Step 1 by Makeup Forever. This is the mattifying one. This is the only one that I have tried over the last several months that actually I feel like does work with keeping my oils from breaking down my foundation. So that's a good one. This is a mini size. It comes in this size and also full size. I have a tiny little sample of the Hydrating one. This is also by Makeup Forever. This came in a set from Sephora. This is the one that I have been using lately on my nose and my chin, because that's where I've been a little bit drier than normal. So again, if you're dry, something hydrating like this one, and I will have all this listed down below as well. And then another good one is the Hourglass Mineral Primer Veil. This is a little bit expensive. I'm not going to tell you to rush out and buy it. Get a sample and try it for yourself, but I do like how this makes my skin nice and smooth. And this is just one that I got with 100 beauty points at Sephora. I can't remember. I've had this for months now, and it lasts. There's a generous amount in there, but you can go and get a sample and see how you like it, because this is a pretty pricey product. So I'm not going to say this is life-changing. I mean, it could be for you, or it could not be. So just try it out. Get samples as well of these before you commit to the price, because it is expensive for Makeup Forever. Okay, so I have clean hands. I'm going to start with the mattifying one. And I'm going to be applying this to my cheek area. And a little bit on my nose, not too much, just because I did squeeze out a little bit more. And if that happens to you, just kind of rub it everywhere else, and it's okay. And then I'm going to go in with the Hydrating one. Oops, came out quite a bit on there too. And I'm going to take that onto my chin. And my nose, sides of my nose where I'm peeling, and on the sides of my face, not so much in the center of the forehead. So the next thing that I have been using that I feel like is definitely a game changer for me is the Original Beauty Blender. Now you may have seen me use this pink sponge in a lot of videos, and this is the Therapeutics Precisso Sponge that I got from Kohl's. This was right around $5 or $6. This is the Original Beauty Blender. And these are the two of them side by side. From a distance you can't really tell on camera the difference between, I guess, the color. But this one is the Beauty Blender and it's a little bit brighter. Either one works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and take the original Beauty Blender, wring it under some water, and squeeze out the excess. That's going to make a big difference in the foundation application. Alright, so I have dampened my beauty sponge, and the whole point is that you want this to be damp. You don't want it to be wringing with water, or when you squeeze it you don't want anything to come out because it will mess up your foundation. So now that you have it nice and damp, the next thing is foundation. The biggest thing that I can tell you is to choose a foundation that one, suits your skin type, whether you're normal, combo, oily, or dry. Also, a foundation that suits your needs as far as coverage. If you don't need full coverage, then don't use it. And if your foundation doesn't cover very well on certain spots, that's what concealer's for. You can go in and pinpoint conceal where you need it the most. So don't feel like you have to layer your foundation so heavily or so many layers to cover imperfections. You can always use concealer for that. Now, I've talked about the Makeup Forever Ultra HD and the L'Oreal Pro Matte. This is part of the Infallible line. That I've talked about these and mentioned how I love them both individually and together. They're really great and they work well, and I do have oily skin. A little bit of dryness now, but normally I am oily. But this foundation that I'm going to be using today is the Fit Me Matte Poreless from Maybelline. This is actually made for normal to oily skin, and I have the shade number 128, so that's the one that I'm going to be using today. I'm going to give it a good shake, dot this all over my face. And by this point my primer has had the time to sit on the skin and sort of like melt into my skin. And make sure that your primer is really well blended, especially if it's a mattifying one, because you don't want your foundation to sort of catch in those areas. Now with my dampened beauty blender, I'm going to use the underside part of it, which is the one that's sort of rounded. And what I'm going to do is do this bouncing motion. And what this is going to do, it's going to push the foundation into the skin, also distribute it really nicely, but it's going to also absorb any extra product, so it's going to give you that natural look. So just bouncing it around and sort of blending it, and I feel like this has made such a big difference in the longevity of my foundation. I don't see a lot of my oils, because I am oily, coming through and breaking down my foundation as it was before, where I was just kind of slapping this on with a fluffy brush or a different tool. This definitely has changed the game for me. And then once I have it blended, you'll see me kind of doing this sort of motion. I want to make sure that everything is blended really well before I go on to the next step. Now I have a mirror handy, and I just like to kind of take a look and see where I feel like I need a little bit extra. If you have a super thick foundation, just be cautious and just go light-handed with your next layer, because it will look very heavy if you put too much on. So I feel like I need just a little bit more right around this area here, and a little bit around my chin. I don't do too much in my forehead because I don't really need it. Okay, so I feel like I've got a pretty good, decent coverage, and I don't feel like I need to do any more. Now I'm taking whatever's left and kind of coming down. And this will be a good sort of precautionary step to do, just in case your foundation is a hair darker and you may not notice it. Different lightings can have an effect on your eyes as far as, you know, seeing a true exact match. My weather here in Georgia is really crappy. It's kind of cloudy, so the best is to do it in daylight. But if you just kind of blend it down, or take a little bit down your neck, if you know it's not the right shade, blend it down so that it's not like one shade on your face and then one shade on your neck. Now, in previous videos, I have talked about the Earth Therapeutics Dome Bronzer Brush. This is a phenomenal brush for foundation. It doesn't absorb your product. It blends everything nicely. So if you don't like beauty sponges, or you feel like the beauty blender is just a waste of money for you, and that's okay. It's just what works for me. Just take little bits of this wherever you feel like you can use one of the tips. You know, apply it to your makeup routine. If you like a brush versus a sponge, then use a brush. Another good one that I have been using lately as well is the Morphe M439. This is actually a really good brush for foundation, and again, it doesn't soak up product, it blends everything nicely, and you don't really have to, you know, mess with dampening a sponge or having to replace your sponges every couple months, you can just continuously wash this, and brushes obviously will last longer than a sponge, but either one, I will have these listed down below as well. Okay, so the next thing that I like to do is concealer. Now, I have been, again, a new thing that I've been doing that's made a difference because you guys have been commenting on how good my skin looks. I've been using the NYX Dark Circle Concealer in the shade Light. This is a sort of orangey salmon-y color. It's kind of like a corrector. It does say concealer, it doesn't say corrector, but I've been using it as a corrector under my eyes, on the outer corner, inner corners as well, prior to applying my regular concealer. And what I'm going to do is apply it to my finger and then warm it up. This will help blend everything in, especially when you use color correctors. Some of them can be a bit thick. So if you warm it up with the warmth of your finger, it will be a little bit more blendable and just a little bit more creamy, where you can actually sort of push the product like this with your finger into that inner pocket right in here where there's some darkness, if you suffer from dark circles where you need to do this step. And then you can just take it and blend it. I have it in this inner part, and this outer part is where I tend to have some sort of like redness or some discoloration. And then I just like to take it. If it's not really smooth and blended, it's fine, because here comes the Beauty Blender. Use that point of it to sort of come in here and blend up into this inner pocket. And then I also like to go over my corrector with it, because it'll help blend anything out that I may have missed with my finger. I have long nails, so I can't really get right up in there as I prefer. So this definitely helps, and again, it'll remove any extra product. Now, to me, just doing that one step of using something salmony and peachy has made such a big difference, and it just makes my under eye look so much better and smoother. So this is a step that I do recommend. And again, this is the NYX Dark Circle Concealer. Next, it's time for concealer. The concealer I've been using lately is the new Ultra HD Invisible Cover Concealer by Makeup Forever, and I have the shade Y23, and I have been testing this out with and without that dark circle concealer, and I feel like the shade is actually working for me. Before, I was kind of iffy on it because I think I wasn't using enough, even though a little bit goes a long way. If you have dark circles, I haven't been really sleeping well lately, so I feel like I need a little bit extra. We've all been there, you've been there as well, so just a little bit of this concealer, and I'm going to go right on this inner part here and just kind of get the product on there. And it looks crazy. I like to do one eye at a time. Take the tip of my beauty sponge, still damp, and I'm going to look up and just kind of, again, bouncing the sponge to help with blending and also kind of pushing that into the under eye area. And don't forget this inner pocket here where you can have a little bit of shadowing. And then I also like to take it onto my lids. And because this concealer is a little light, as you can see, you probably can tell right in here that it's just that under eye area. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to pull it down in that sort of triangle shape here to help brighten, just because this is a little light. But I can make it work. And I'm just going to keep blending this in until it's nice and smooth and I get the coverage that I want. This concealer is thin, so it's not very heavy or very cakey, so that's why I'm going to layer some more. But if you're using a thick concealer, just be careful, because the more you add, the cakier it's going to look. And we have to definitely set this up towards the end of the video. Alright, so I've done the second eye. I've also taken a little bit of that concealer and I've just sort of, again, bouncing that sponge, the tip of it, around my nose and here and the bridge of my nose, because, again, this is light, so it's light enough for me to be able to highlight with it as well. So now we have to set the whole face. Now, I have been using the Makeup Forever Pro Finish powder. I wear the shade 120. I use that with a big fluffy brush, but lately what I've been doing is setting everything with my Mercier Translucent Setting Powder that I talked about in my Best in Beauty. I've also mentioned it in previous tutorials. This is actually a really great translucent setting powder. Now, the biggest thing that has made such a difference is actually using my dampened beauty blender for this step. It literally has made my skin look so good. It has kept my oil from breaking through. I can go hours with this with these steps that I'm sharing with you today and not feel like my oil is breaking down my foundation. You guys have noticed the difference in my skin and the way it looks in the video. And it's just something that I now do almost every single day. So I'm going to take the tip of it. I'm going to start with the under eye area. I'm going to take what's in the cap. And I know this probably sounds weird using a damp beauty blender to apply this translucent setting powder, but I'm telling you, it makes such a big difference. So I have quite a bit of the powder on to the tip of the sponge, and what I'm going to do is kind of just press it into the under eye area. And again, doing these layers like this and applying thin amounts is going to keep this from creasing. And I'm also going to take some onto my upper lid. Alright, so now that we have the under eye done, I'm going to take the same powder and I'm going to dump some into the cap. And what I'm going to do with the same damp sponge, I'm going to take quite a bit of that powder and start kind of pushing it into the skin. Now I'm doing this with translucent powder because it's, again, translucent and it's not going to affect the color or the coverage of what my foundation has already given my skin. So I like using translucent powder. I wouldn't really say doing this with a regular face powder unless it's a very light, finely milled powder. Because if it's heavy in coverage and it's meant to be, you know, like full coverage powder, it can look cakey. But again, this damp and beauty sponge definitely takes care of any sort of cakey look with any product really. And that's what I love it and what I've noticed and how makes me feel like this is definitely worth a $20 investment into the sponge. So I'm going to take it on the side and just sort of push this into the skin. Okay, so that completes that step of the foundation and concealer, and I love doing this step because I get the coverage that I'm looking for. It hasn't changed the tone of this by doing that step with the translucent powder and the damp beauty sponge. And I feel like everything just looks really good. My concealer, my skin, and of course I look pretty flat because I don't have any contours and dimensions, which you would do with separate products. But this is just the first part of me sharing these new beauty tips with you and doing just the foundation and concealer. And I can get up close with a mirror and my skin looks nice and smooth. My skin looks just perfected and it doesn't feel heavy at all, which is the biggest thing. And I know it looks weird, I don't have my brows done, but yeah, I'm gonna do that and then I'll meet you back. Alright, so I hope this video was helpful. I know it was a little bit longer, but I wanted to kind of touch bases with you guys and kind of tell you why I'm using the products and how they've sort of changed the game for me, as they say, for foundation. Like I said, I only did foundation and concealer in this video. I want to do all their parts separately. So like a little mini series, I don't know. Comment down below, let me know what you think about that because I didn't want to do everything in one video. So I hope that you take away some tidbits here that you can apply to your everyday makeup routine. And if you try any of these tips, or heck, if you try the routine the way I share with you, but just using products that are catered for obviously your skin color, your skin type, let me know how it works for you because this is something that works for me and I just wanted to pass along a few little tips. Maybe I can help you out. So I hope that you guys liked it. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see any more videos from me as far as tutorials, any sort of requests. Always leave them down below in the comment section. Please subscribe as well if you haven't. If you have, thank you for your support and your love. It means everything to me. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. It's all down below in the description box. Everything is listed there as well. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.